Hi everyone. Um I'm going to show you today how to test like an opening range breakout strategy, but on a positional basis. So basically, what I'm trying to do is I've got the crude oil data here on an hourly time frame. Let's say I want to start checking at on Monday at 8 o'clock, and my final exit will happen on Friday at 10 o'clock, 10 in the evening, but I also obviously have a stop loss in place. So what I'm looking for is on the first candle. So at Monday 8 o'clock, the first candle, the first 1 hour candle, I will find the high and the low. And once I found the high and the low, then any candle after that, if it closes above the high, I will buy it, and if it closes below the low, I will sell it. So it's basically an opening range breakout, but I will wait for the closing price to happen. Once I've done the closing, and if it closes above, I'll buy. If it closes below, I will sell. And my stop loss is the opposite side. So basically, if I've bought it, my stop loss becomes the low, and if I've sold it, my stop loss becomes the high. And I also want to check what would have been my maximum profit, which is called the MFE. So we'll check that also in case because I'm not putting any targets here. So I will exit either on my stop loss getting hit or at on Friday evening. So I'm also checking. Also going to add MFE, which will give me an idea how I can probably better this strategy. So let's start. The first thing I want is the buying level. So I've already added the data here, and what I've done is I've just made this column H8, in which I've just concatenated the day and the time. Why I've done that is so that I know that at Monday 8 o'clock is the starting time, and Friday 22, which is the Friday evening at 10 o'clock is the ending time. And like in all my previous videos, I always keep buying level as -1 and selling level as +1, and I will be entering at closing prices. So let's put our buying levels first. My buying level will be if this is equal to, so if it's the starting um, or the starting at 8 o'clock, then in that case I want the high, because that becomes the high price. Otherwise it will be the previous value. So basically what I'm saying is, if today, if the current candle is the Monday 8 o'clock candle, then I want the buying level to be the high price, otherwise is the previous candle. So if we just do it, you will notice that it will become 122.51 every time till it encounters another Monday 8, which is here, and this is where it will update the buying level. And similarly, we'll find the sell level. If this is equal to this, and make sure that I'm putting a dollar sign here so that it stays there, then in that case I want the low price, otherwise it's the previous level. So I've got my high levels and the buying and the low levels. Now let's see our entry. So my entry will be if, and I'll have two conditions now. And first thing is I want the closing price to be greater than the buying level, because as I said, I want to take the entry on closing basis, and I will not be taking the entry on the last candle, because it doesn't make sense that I take the entry at 10 o'clock. So this should not be equal to this. Let me just make this fixed. If this happens, so if this is true, then I will go for a -1 because it's a buying entry. On the other hand, again, if, and in this case, if the closing price is less than the low level, and again my time should not be the ending time, if that is true, I will go for a sell trade. Otherwise I will not go for a trade, so I will just put 0. So let's click it, and you can see here that there is a 1 coming here. Let's see why the 1 is coming here. Because the closing as 122.16 and it is below the 122.35, so it's below the low level, so I'm selling. That's why it's coming a 1. But you will notice that there are a lot of ones coming, right? And we will not be taking consecutive entries, but we'll fix that. But right now it's working fine. Similarly, if we find a -1 here, that means the closing price 123.62 is greater than 122.51, which was the buying level. So even this is correct. But as we can see that there are multiple entries coming, so let's finalize the entry. So I'll just make another column called entry already done. if this is equal to this, that means if it's the starting of the day, obviously on the first candle I will not be taking any entry. Otherwise, what I'm saying is, if my previous L1, so if I've already taken, if it's basically, if it's 0, that means I've not taken an entry yet. So if I have not taken the entry yet, then I want the current entry. Otherwise, I want the previous entry. So basically what it's trying to do is it's trying to find if current row is the first day, basically the Monday 8, then obviously it's put 0, no entry done. Otherwise, what it does is it finds if I've already taken the entry. If yes, it will put a 1, or if it's already taken the entry, it will put the direction. If not, it will go for the new entry. So as you can see, in this case 1 came here, that means that this is now all the entries which are already taken. So it will not even check any zeros and minus ones coming here. Similarly, let's check for the next time. So this is where it starts from the next time, and as soon as it gets the buying entry, it will just keep putting -1 here till again it goes for the Monday 8. At this point of time, again it will reset, and again it will do it. So this is basically telling me that okay, at what time I am actually taking the entry. So let's actually put the price now. So my entry price is equal to if, and now first thing I want to check is if previously, so if L1, if this is 0, that means I had not taken the entry in the previous candle, but in the current candle, if it's equal to -1, that means previously there was no entry taken, but now there is a buying entry coming. In that case, I will be doing the minus of closing price, again minus, because I will be going for a buying trade. Similarly, if and the previous level L1 was 0 and the current level is equal to 1, that means again till previous level I had not taken the entry, now I'm taking the entry. So if this is correct and this is a +1 entry, that means it's a closing entry, I mean the selling entry. So I will be selling it, so that's a positive number. So I will be just putting the closing price, because we will be selling at the closing price, comma 0, right? So let's check. And now you will notice that it is only going to take the first entry. It's going to ignore all the extra entries. So as you can see here, it's showing me a positive number. That means it's taken the entry at 122.16. And then obviously it just doesn't wait. It will wait till Monday 8. And this is where it goes for a minus number, because now it's taken the buying entry. So our entry prices are done. So we've got the entry prices. Now let's start with the exit prices. So I'll first look for the exit. It's actually going to be very similar to the entry. So I'm just going to copy it here. But the only difference is on entry, we were looking for closing basis. As you can see, we were looking for closing basis, whereas in exit, we will not be doing on closing basis. So we will be checking the high for the buying level and low for the selling level. So that's the only difference. So I've just changed the minor difference here, and I've added the exit column. Now let's again same thing, we'll do exit if exit already done. This is going to be a little complicated. So if my current row is equal to the start time, obviously I cannot take an exit, so it becomes 0, comma, if now what I want to check is whether is the end row. So if this is equal to the ending row, in that case I also actually, let me check one more condition. I will also check and. So if it's the ending row and if L2, so that means if my entry which is already done is equal to 1, so I was already in a selling trade, then in this case it has to be a buying trade since I'm exiting. And similarly, if I'll do the other way around also, if the current time is equal to the end time, comma. If the entry which was done was a -1, that means I will be exiting the trade, so +1. So we have taken the normal conditions out, the starting and the ending. Now we'll do the middle conditions. If now what I want to check is if I've already taken exit. So if and my O1, so I've already taken an exit or not. So if it's 0, that means I've not taken an exit yet. In that case, I want to check if and L2, if my entry done is equal to 1, but my N2, so my exit is equal to -1. So I had, so basically what I'm trying to do is if I've not yet taken the exit and I was already in a sell trade and the current is I'm getting a buying trade, so obviously I have to take an exit, so it will be -1. And similarly, if and I'll do the other way around also now. If L2 is equal to -1 and if N2 is equal to +1, then I will go for one exit, and finally I will just on otherwise if O1 because which is the previous data, that means I've already taken an exit, and I'll have to do O1 again. Yeah, so let's check if everything is working fine. All right, seems to be working. Let's see. What it's saying is that this is where the exit comes. Why? Because the 12251, which is the buy level, it was hit by the high price here. So yes, 122.68 is above 122.51, and that is why it has given me an exit at -1. And once I've taken the exit, it keeps showing me -1 here, right? So this is kind of working. Let's check for another day. If we check the Monday 8, obviously it becomes 0. It has taken the buying entry, and this is where it gets the sell. So it has again taken the exit. So this is also fine. Let's take one more example. So it has gone for the selling trade, and I think this is the profitable trade. So it will keep going until unless it hits the Friday 22, which is here, and this is where it will go for the exit trade. So yeah, the exit already done is working fine. So let's just find the exit price now. If my previous is 0, same idea that we did for entry price. If my previous exit is 0, but my current exit is equal to -1, in that case I will go for -I2, which is a buying level. If this is the other condition, and my previous is equal to 0 and my current is equal to +1, in this case I will be going for the J2, which is the sell level, 0. So this is the same thing that we did here for entry price. Only difference is that here we were taking the entry at the closing, but in exit we are taking the exits at the buying and the selling levels. So let's just double click it. Okay, seems to be some error here, because this should have been O12 and O13 is equal to -1, then minus of I13. Let me check why this is not giving me the exit here, because this should be about -122.51. So let's see if and O12 is equal to 0, O13 is -1, okay, comma. All right, yeah, so this is correct now. So we've got the exit, which is correct because the stop loss got hit. So let's add the final exit also. why I need to add the final exit is because if you see here, right, the way this has been coded, the exit on the last candle also happens on the high, I mean the buy level and the sell level, which is wrong, because if it's the last candle, it shouldn't happen at the high level or the low level, it should happen at the closing price. So I'm just going to add that condition now as a final exit. So if the current row is the last row, basically this is only applicable for the last row, then in that case, if my final exit is greater than 0, that means I have to go for a positive closing G2, or if and this is equal to the last row again, but this time if it's the negative number, so if my exit is less than 0, that means I'll have to go for a minus closing price. Basically I just want to exit at the closing price, that's all I want to do. Otherwise it will be the normal exit, which is P2. And let's check. So yes, it has given us the exit. I'll tell you why this is required. So I'll give you a simple example. The day we are making the profit, if you see here, this is the day we are making the profit. On this day, the exit should have come at the closing price, which is at 522, 108.85, but it was giving the exit at minus 113.03, which was a buying level, which is wrong, because when we are exiting the trade on the closing, so it has to be on the closing basis. So that is why this is a slight change required. So we have taken all the trades. Let's just put the trade taken or not. So the trade taken is M2 plus Q2. So this becomes a trade taken. I will also check whether I am in trade or not, and we can try if L3 is not equal to 0 and L3 multiplied by O2, which is the exit, if it's not equal to minus 1, then 1 comma 0. So what I want to do is, let me just show you. Basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to if, as you can see, if this is 1 and if this is minus 1, then I will exit, and if this is minus 1, this is plus 1, I will still exit. That means if we multiply the entry and multiply the exit, if they both become minus 1 after multiplication, that means I've already exited the trade. So that is what I'm trying to do here. This tells me whether I'm exiting the trade or not. So this is the entire time I am actually in the trade. This is the entire time I'm actually in the trade. So exactly this is how we do it. And then you can look at the MFE formula. So I'll add the MFE formula here directly, because that's a little confusing formula. So using MFE, we can figure out what is the final MFE of the trade. So I hope you like it. This is how we can test opening range breakout strategy. All we have to do is now change this. So let's say if we want to start from Monday at 9, that's it. We have just made a small change here, and everything else updates automatically, right? You might have to do a slight change here, but this is the more or less how it works. Great. So I hope you like the video. Do subscribe. Thank you.